So she comes over and does my hair. She gets naked in the shower with me. First time we met, just started my hair. And then we got talking, and so
not fully naked, everybody.
So what that showed me.
Sorry.
And so what that told me in that moment.
Audience, I want no part of soft female porn. Just to be clear, it's not what I signed up.
We'd like to welcome you to our very first speed dating event here at the Dragster.
Oh, it's starting.
Oh, where the hell have you been? I've been standing here all
No dragging this down. That's for the lesbians.
You don't have any cats, do you? My ex loved them. She had 3. I think that's why we didn't get on.
Alexia, after your inability to hook up on Saturday night, we are researching ways for you to do so.
My sister and daughter seem to think I need to meet someone.
Dog walking, no dog.
Queer-friendly yoga class.
Can't touch my toes.
There's a beginner's art course for women who love women.
Wet paint. Hot men.
Lex, I did not expect to see you here.
I'm actually looking for someone, but I don't know what she looks like.
Same. Why do we keep running into each other?
These meetings are not random.
Mum should totally date her. She's liked her from the day they met.
Oh, Lex, you've changed your hair.
It has been 3 years. Guess who's back in town? Miranda.
There'll be drama. You know that, right?
Oh, you came. I wasn't sure you would. No +1?
Don't know what it is about her.
Don't you dare say it.
And what about Kat? It's obvious you two are into each other.
This is comfortable, Lex. It's nice. It's just like old times.
If I were to ask you on a coffee date, you would say?
I would say it's complicated.
What do you want?
I think I want what I can't have.
My head feels like a fountain overflowing, going up.
These schemes continue.
To try and get you laid.
Your concern for my sex life is endearing.
Oh, what can I say?
Wanna be yours.
Welcome back, everybody, to Beyond Survival, the place where we get to explore what comes beyond survival. I am your host, Geraldine, co-host, Kelly.
Hi, everyone.
Our extra special guest today is Malcolm Fiano.
He's my evil twin of nearly 30-odd years.
Indeed. It's a privilege.
Producer in the background, Stephanie
Davis. As usual, doing an amazing job.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. It's been great. I hope you did watch our last episode.
Let's not pretend that he is. He's very transactional. Everybody knows that. He's always been that. I've known him since he was in the 80s, right? My very first trip as an 18-year-old. Who is this person, right? I spent some time in New York.
Well, he's your family of origin.
That's right.
He's big business.
I understand exactly who he is. I understand the community he's come from.
Correct.
I understand who his father was. That's the same community I come from, but here. But when I was 18 and I went to New York for the first time, I was there for a week on my own. And I went into a bar there and everybody was talking about him as a potential, because at that time he was single. I think he was in his 30s at that time. Early 30s or mid 30s, and he was considered a catch because he was a millionaire and he was this and he was that. Nobody, in all these things we know now, at the ground level, everybody knew that stuff was going on, but nobody did anything about it.
Well, I think the film The Apprentice is such a great film because it charts the genesis of his development, and I think I love...
Roy Cohen has a lot to answer for because he weaponized Trump overnight.
Absolutely.
And that is who he has carried his whole life now. Because what Roy Cohen was to him was a surrogate father. But he also turned on his father.
Absolutely.
His surrogate father being Roy Cohen and his own father. Towards the end, of their lives, he turned on them.
Right.
And that is Trump. And if anybody expects Trump to be different, he's never been different since I was 18 years old. He's always been the same.
Completely.
Always been the same. And it was really interesting because I understood who he was that was the first time I became aware of him when I was 18 and in New York at that time. And I was listening to this people and I was going, you guys got no idea. You've got no idea. And well, it'll come to pass, that's for sure.
And it certainly has.
And over the years when I was watching him, many, many times he talked about becoming president, especially after he lost The Apprentice show, which was his most successful business, by the way. He didn't make any money anywhere else. He just constantly went into bankruptcy. We all know that. Not personally, but his companies did. But that was the way the law was set up in that time. I think it's kind of moving to a change with that stuff. But they could get away with it, right?
I hand over to Geraldine.
They could get away with it. What?
Oh no, I'm just thinking about what I guess we've talked about that quite a bit as well in our podcast. But I'm going to throw it really left of centre. So you're on the ground in DC, and I'm finding this really interesting just talking about this because it's changing my assumptions about the US, and I'm seeing. I guess it's interesting hearing what you're saying about what's really happening on the ground and how differently that is from perception.
So thank you, Geraldine. I really appreciate that question. It's been a challenging year for me being an American Australian because I'm very well-meaning. Kelli totally loves me. So it's like, I really am worried for you. So the last trip in May, I had this relentlessly at me, how bad Trump is, how bad the US is. It was every dinner party, every conversation. And we're talking some extremely negative to concern, etc. So it was extremely wearing. Let me address this in 3 parts.
Which was their intention, by the way, to set that up for everybody to,
Correct.
As long as there's a theatre show to watch, no one's paying attention to what's really going on.
So, but a couple of interesting things is it seems to be a national obsession, certainly down under, in the UK, his whole visit. It was like an absolute furore, Europe, etc. So I've had a few friends, few Aussies come to DC during this year, and their families were extremely worried, not unlike yourself. Said, please don't go, we will pay for your ticket, we will please cancel, etc. They came to DC and they had a great time in the US, and they said, OMG, Australia needs to calm down. The picture that's painted back home in the media, etc., is nothing like the reality on the street. So let me address it in 3 parts.
So we're seeing it on lots of different levels.
So
there is some concerns.
There are definitely concerns.
Especially for Western Australia.
There are.
Oh no, I mean for people in
but all the way around.
There are certainly some concerns. So remember, I returned to DC in 21. So I was there for most of the Biden years, and now the first year of the second Trump administration. It's largely remained unchanged. There's more anxiety, there's more chaos, but we knew that was going to happen. We knew there was going to be theater, there was going to be chaos, there was going to be anxiety. Now, I went to America literally a week after Trump got in, so that was in November 2016, in real fear and trepidation that it was going to end. I was migrating to Pyongyang. And that didn't eventuate. There was madness, chaos, the nonsense we saw, Sarah Huckabee Sanders and all those people, all those resignings and you're my best friend today, you're my enemy tomorrow, all that nonsense and chaos and theater. They rolled on, and 2020, the stock market did extremely well. Healthcare was largely unchanged. America went on. We got Biden in 2020. This time there's been a difference. Kelly's absolutely right. The Heritage Foundation and Doge, etc., they've been extremely well prepared. They were extremely well prepared to have, again, using DEI as just one small thing, but to have targeted the complete dismantling of DEI across government. Corporates follow government for the most part.
Been in the making for 30, 40 years, really.
Correct.
That's the truth.
So was extremely effective. So there is that element, but by and large, by and large, things have remained unchanged on the streets. With the National Guard presence, so I'm in a cafe and I would see National Guard on a street corner. They're largely unobtrusive. They almost look like caricatures. You know what I mean?
Oh.
They're almost sitting on they almost look like we've got nothing to do. And a couple of Washingtonians, or a lot of Washingtonians, are actually feeling safer with the National Guard presence. Because there are some...
But what about them? Aren't they more or less like a volunteer organisation and have families to go back to and stuff like that? And then all that time they're away from their families?
Yes and no. So it's the different types of people of men and women who are the National Guard is complex. So it's a mix from different sectors. So I pass them, and life goes on as usual. So the second part is the broader geopolitical sense. I was having this really interesting conversation with a Singaporean friend, and we were talking, and this friend made the observation and said, I don't know what the whole world is going on and on about Trump, because in many ways he is not dissimilar to Lee Kuan Yew. Now, Lee Kuan Yew, the father of modern Singapore, he realized very strategically and quite, as you pointed out earlier, quite historically, because Singapore was born in 1965. So it was born So I'm older than Singapore by 3 months, because I was April 1965, and Singapore was August, correct. So, and Lee Kuan Yew said, nope, tight laws, authoritarian regime, strong sense of Singaporean, not Chinese identity, eliminate all the race riots, etc. And we have got a vision of a modern island nation to work towards. So Singaporean was very authoritarian, strict, correct, much smaller, but sure. But the point I'm making is in terms of style. So in history has been very kind to Lee Kuan Yew, and rightly so. But in many ways, he shares exactly the same qualities as Trump. And he had the HDB, the flats. So he said, people need a strong sense of national identity, MAGA, whatever. Strong sense of Singaporean our own home, and then we springboard from there, which is exactly what Trump is appealed to the Rust Belt and the Sun States. Yeah. We're American, America first. So a lot of that, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, to a lesser extent, some of the early Indonesian leaders, very similar models. But for the most part, we treat them generously. But because of the theatrics, etc., reviewing Trump in a largely negative light, I remain, again, let's reconvene in 2028 after the next,
that'll be interesting,
to see what whether...
Maybe I'll come to Washington for that.
Absolutely. Done.
I did cancel my trip to New York this year. Sorry about that.
And see whether Kelly's prediction or whether my prediction, which one's right.
What is your prediction?
So my prediction is, I think there's going to be, the chaos feels less Kelly now than it did in 2017. I think it will
dissipate quite quickly.
Yeah, actually. It's actually, I feel the chaos is, despite, the shutdown has created a bit of chaos, but...
And then, look, as long as they've got all their bags of tricks to invoke that emotional response for people at the ground level, because it's a distraction. But eventually they'll run out. And also what I'm witnessing now, because I watch the news 10 hours a day, really. And what I'm seeing now is people on the street level, people are just laughing now. They're not taking it seriously.
Absolutely. So can I just say...
They're just like, oh my God, here we go again. Here's the next part of the reality show.
So we were living in a little slice on the compound, obviously. We were in Haiti, in Port-au-Prince, all Americans. I was the only Aussie on the compound. And newly married, going to a new country, challenging country, from idyllic Perth to, let's just say, challenging Port-au-Prince. And it was chaos and madness in that first 6 months of 2017. And I was at home, obviously, watching this news, him sacking, no, fake news, move on. It was insane. I don't get that sense now. It was largely clear agenda. We said we were going to do this. We're implementing it decisively. Chaos largely targeted at government and the left. So the chaos, most of the initiatives have been largely targeted towards government and the left. Corporate's largely been left untouched. So I think it's now got to that, this is national theatre unfolding. So I think I actually take a relatively positive prediction. I think the US Constitution is robust and strong. President Trump has to go to Congress to change major laws. So there are doomsday predictions.
And they tried all the laws.
Correct.
That they had a plan of, we'll try this, if that doesn't work, we'll try this, we'll try this. And they're running out of laws to invoke, old laws to invoke to do what they want to do.
Absolutely.
They want to bypass the Senate and Congress and just get
Not gonna
the Supreme
happen.
Court. It won't happen. Eventually it won't happen.
Well,
I
was going to ask you about that.
go on.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you.
No,
we have got the US's government shutdown, which there's potential for the Speaker to not open the House.
Right.
So he does what Trump tells him to do.
And he may not open
and
the
if
House.
Trump feels he's no longer getting the popularity vote, he might just... that'll be the thing that changes it.
And I'm a teacher in the US and I don't have a job.
Okay.
Well, you're not getting paid. You're doing the job, not getting
I'm not getting paid. Well, I'm not going to do the job forever.
And all the Republicans are on holidays, but the Dems are still there in that's where their offices are and everything. Well, they're going in every day, still waiting to have the conversation, negotiation. But meanwhile, that's all the Trump play.
Theatrics. Geraldine, it's a good question,
Mm.
and it seems alarming from an Australian context because we don't have government shutdowns. So let me put it in context for you, and I will bet on that chocolate tart that the shutdown will be resolved in the next week or two.
Okay.
I will absolutely bet. So there have been correct me, but I think about a dozen shutdowns since 1980. So there was a speaker. It is the longest, correct? There was a speaker who said you can shut the government down if you don't pass legislation. So that was the initiation. So there were during the Clinton years, I recall 2 during Obama, etc. So there was a 35-day shutdown in the first Trump administration. And so this is the second one. I can guarantee you it will resolve itself in about a week or so. And the reality is all these workers will get back paid. But still, not a great thing, uncertainty, chaos, etc. But for the most part, people... So I've got friends in the Federal Public Service who are taking annual leave. They've gone on holidays because they've been furloughed. So they're using this opportunity to take annual leave. So I think that's a small part. And I think it's to the broader you both were talking about as to where did the left get it wrong? Where did the Dems get it wrong, etc. Correct. And it's about the messaging. So if you go back, look at the last decade and a bit. So you go back Clinton, brilliant woman. I think Hillary would have made a fantastic...
I think Kamala would have made it fantastic.
Kamala would have made fantastic presidents, new world order. That's not how history unfolded, okay? We had Hitler, we had Genghis Khan. That's history. You can't change history. But there were mistakes in 2015, all our side. They wanted a particular kind of vision for America. So they all said he was a candidate and not Bernie Sanders. They said, we're boycotting Hillary. So loads of Americans didn't turn up. Democrats didn't turn up in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan.
They assumed she was the issue in.
Exactly. And she lost those 2 critical states. Yeah. And had they turned out and said, okay, it's not Bernie, but we're still Dems, we're going for it. So I know a lot of, smart people in DC, and they're not Trumpians. They're Republicans, staunch Republicans. So small yourself up by the bootstraps and get on with it. Stop whinging, whining because you're a gay or you're a woman or you're black or whatever. Just get on with it.
It's a very liberal approach.
Correct. The capitalist approach.
Whatever, yeah.
Correct. There are opportunities in modern America. Everyone can do it. So that brigade, so they were not Trump supporters, but they said, okay, it's not going to be Rubio. It's not going to be Nikki Haley. It's Trump. We're going to vote Republican. We're not boycotting him. So we didn't do that in 2015. So we've only got ourselves to blame in that regard. There was, as Kelli talked about earlier, the basket of deplorables, the messaging talking at, the point you both made, talking at rather than talking with. And I think at the end of the day, there is this national underlying principle that ultimately the left was making these huge assumptions that all Republicans, all MAGA are racist or all are homophobic. And the reality, that is not true. For the most part, there is an adage or a proverb that says basically you ensure affordable housing, a good taxation system, bread and butter issues, grocery prices, energy prices, etc. You address those core cost of living, those concerns, and then you layer on Indigenous rights or LGBT rights, etc. You don't. So you look at, I think Albanese played it extremely cleverly and you look at the differences. So what was it, the 22 election and the 25 election? So he went with The Voice in 22. It was resoundingly defeated, right?
It's referendum.
Correct.
We're not good at referendums.
No. But the point I'm making is he went to the election with the Voice referendum as the key issue, as a leading issue, and was resoundingly defeated. This time I was watching how he'd message. He messaged on cost of living, affordability, energy.
Because they got a head start with what happened in America. It's that simple.
And I saw the Labour government do exactly the same messaging. Indigenous issues. Well, yes, we're going to do some things for Indigenous issues. There was radio.
There must be some equality.
And they won unanimously. So I think that's for the most part to get into that simplistic binary of the right is all racist, the right is all homophobic, etc. It really doesn't understand the nuance of the debate. So my
or in the same aspect that all Democrats are woke.
Yeah, absolutely. So and I think people go on journeys. So Kelli was raised in a Trump Vance family, moved to AOC, Sarah Hanson Young, Bob Brown, came back to the center. I was raised in a left family, then through equity, diversity, and equality, went very left, and have now moved to center right. And so Kelli raised log cabin Republicans. So for people who don't know, so log cabin Republicans are a group of within the Republican Party, gays, the LGBT community, and they put marriage and committed relationships as the center of their platform. So their belief is marriage and commitment is healthy for men, women, the LGBT community, and if you have a great couple, you then grow a great community. So that's the log cabin. And as Kelli knows, it's not about a value judgment for gay men who want to sleep around with hundreds of partners. You do you, boo. But I just find it very boring. So I really to have sex within the context of a relationship or an emotional connection or an intellectual connection. So that's largely
you did flirt with the idea. Though, in the early days of open style kind of marriages, and also there was some conversation there about what was it? Sorry, my brain's gone.
Polyamory.
Thank you.
Okay.
I had blank moments. But we did have conversations about
numerous conversations about. And Kelli, I haven't changed my position on that, and thank you for bringing that up. And that's the beauty of a long friendship.
Yeah.
Because you've seen Malcolm in all his, and you in your. I would not be unsupportive of an open marriage. But I think where open marriages get it wrong is
not being upfront about it all.
No.
An agreement.
No. There are no rules. So basically, it's open slather.
No, that's what I mean by being in agreement.
Okay, if
you set guidelines, right, and say, okay, this is okay, this is not okay, then that's a couple working together, making that decision together.
Absolutely. I would have, I'm currently not, but should my husband at some point in time say, hey, Malcolm, we've been together for 15 years, things are sparking in the bedroom, but I want to have I want to have pain au chocolat once a month. Pain au chocolat once a month.
I say, Robbie.
I would say, Robbie, have some pain au chocolat. But make sure you come back and tell me all about it. So I'm not, in principle, opposed to non-monogamy. I think what the risk and where, certainly I believe the gay community, I can't speak for the lesbian or the trans community, is then the focus becomes addictive on
also, there's greed.
And there's greed, correct. There's greed.
With my experience with that, with the people that I know, is where it is okay, but then when is the need for it to stop being okay?
Right.
Is when it's hurting the other person.
Right.
Yeah, and that's often if the real conversation hasn't been done.
Yeah, but there's always one that misses out.
Maybe not. I mean, I know couples who've been practicing it for years and they're okay because they've had the conversation from day one about what's okay and what's not okay. And as people change, and people do change, right? as you go through life, we go through experiences, and often those experiences can change our perspective about things, and so therefore people can change their mind as well. But then it's also the key, I think, in those situations, Steph, is to have the conversation again.
Yeah.
Redraw the boundary
Absolutely.
lines, and that's when it falls apart, when people aren't prepared to do that.
Right. I think there need to be guardrails on it. And for me, if I would agree to an open marriage and I'm open to the idea, it's about you have your pain au chocolat once a month or whatever. But the focus still remains on us. And I want us to have a healthy, intimate, both physical intimacy and sexual intimacy. So what tends to happen is the primary couple don't even touch each other. So they become, there's no physical and sexual intimacy, but they're having sex outside.
Issues going on, and then they've used it.
Correct.
Used it rather than because this is where we're at. They're using it as, again, weaponizing something by saying, "Oh, this is what I need because we're not." But actually, you're not getting to the truth of what's really going on.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it can work for some.
Yeah. If the real conversation's being had.
It can work for some.
And if it's not about lack.
Right. It doesn't work for a lot of others because for a lot
sorry to interrupt again, but if it's going into a place of we can empower ourselves and we can empower our relationship with this, but we've got to be careful. We've got to really talk this out and talk it through.
Right.
Then that's a different story to saying this is not working for me 100% anymore. So I want a little bit on the side.
Right.
Are you okay with that? And the other person going, well, if it means that I'm going to lose you, if I don't, then yeah, I'm okay with it, I guess. But they're not really, right?
No.
So that's that. And often I think I would suggest, and I don't know having numbers going on it, but I would suggest that majority of the people who decide to go and walk that path, that's where it starts, rather than starting from a healthy place of this is about exploration, this is about creative kind of license, and as long as we know that we're the primary people in this relationship and it's healthy and everything, then and it's not about having a long-term lover on the side. I don't think that's healthy either, because that gets complex. But if it's just about let's just have a little bit of chocolate on the side every now and then, but as long as the whole conversation's had.
Right. And there are many iterations of that.
Yeah, of course. It's complex.
So it's not about just being...
And the individuals as well involved. Okay, that changes it.
We've got a fantastic house, multi-million-dollar house, so too hard to split up. Let's just play on the side. So that's not the model. And just getting back to polyamory, yes, as you know, I was in a polyamorous triangle with two men, one still a very good friend of mine in Western Australia and one in the Eastern States. So I just want to make very clear that polyamory, because it's often misunderstood, is very different to promiscuity. So polyamory is not promiscuity. I was very emotionally committed to both men, and I truly loved both men and still do. So I was investing a lot of emotional energy into both relationships. And as you know, they both lasted for 10 years. Yeah. And it was fraught with complexities. Yeah. And in hindsight, one or both of the parties may not have done it that way. It's different connections. But for me, getting back to the original point I was making, which is the log cabin Republicans. Yeah. So their philosophy is a committed marriage, largely, but a committed relationship is a healthy way to spring from society. So my journey to the right has been largely influenced by that log cabin philosophy, because I've always taught that, but I just didn't have
in another way, you've been conservative.
Yeah, and very conservative. Yeah, extremely conservative. So I think I've just found my home, if you wish, my niche within their framework, whereas I just didn't make sense of it all. So I believe there are ISIS, my take. So I know what your 2028 take is. So
do you though? What do you think my 2028 take is?
Well,
it's not all laid out yet.
No, but it's interesting.
Well, judging from episodes 1 to 10.
Right.
So you are in, and rightly so, you are in deep fear of the loss of democracy as we know it, of Western liberal democracies falling down, of Americanization of the world, etc., etc.
No, that's not true.
Well, your concerns with AUKUS and what's happening in Northwestern Australia and the US, all of that stuff.
Yeah, but that's more to do with, it wouldn't matter if it was China or America.
Sure.
It's about us not giving away our power all the time.
Sure. And I get all that. But the point I'm making is, I'm taking a different analysis. I think America is definitely going to has moved and will continue to move to the right in certain key areas and then largely stabilize. But
it will stabilise within that, and
correct.
How that looks and appears is maybe different to what with. I'm not doing the doomsday stuff on it. I'm really not. But I do think that this is a worldwide issue of not just about democracy or autocracy. I said that at the beginning of this episode.
Right.
I think it's more about humanity, right? Who do we want to be as the race of beings? Do we still want to be having wars? We never not have wars,
correct.
Right? Yeah. Do we really want to be doing that? Now, my take on what's happening in America, it is going where it's going. And I don't necessarily think it's the dictatorship, fascism that everybody's talking about. I think it's more patrimonialism, which is the old style of governing, which is more sort of like mafia style, or if you have a royal family. Now, that fits the picture if you think about it in many, many ways.
Yes and no. And the reality is, living on the ground and knowing a lot of Republicans, they hate the royal family approach.
No, but they love the idea of mafia approach.
They rejected Hillary because they felt it was a Clinton dynasty, and they felt that was wrong.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is, it's who knows? Never say never. Very unlikely.
But I think that the nationalist Christians and the Heritage Foundations
sure.
are far more invested in a patrimonial style that is more mafia style
sure.
than the old kind of patrimonialism, which was more about sort of noble sort of stuff in there as well, right?
Right.
So I don't think it's that version. I think it's the mafia style version, the Godfather style version, right?
Right.
Where you everything is about power over. Now, all that sort of thing we hope to leave behind, right, as a race of beings. That's what we were working towards in the spiritual context.
Yes.
Right, we're working towards, we're always been working towards a more egalitarian. That doesn't allow for that. Now, I think that that's what the nationalist Christians, or let's call it the Heritage Foundations, know. And that's what they want. They want to see return to that, which is, it's like Pauline Hanson. What's wrong with the 1950s? Well, we don't live in the 1950s anymore, for a start. We live in a very different world. Just the fact that even now we've got AI on steroids, right? That makes it a very different world to what it was in the 1950s. So you can't make a return to that. But I do believe, and they often talk, particularly Stephen Miller and Russ Vought, right, who are the sort of really running the government, Marco Rubio. That's what they hope for. They want a white America again, like it was in the 50s. Women being back they've said it, being back in the kitchen, they should be at home. They're looking for the trad wives. That's what they want. They want to create that trad wife, and it's happening. There are I've been watching a lot of Z Gens and even millennials who women who and had chats with them online and stuff, who are very interested in the idea of being a trad wife.
Right.
So when I talk about being concerned about the state of democracy, I'm talking more about the state of humanity and why are we feeling a need to revert to.
I see it as a monoculture. We're talking about diversity.
Well, it's about power over. It's always about power over. That is the threat.
Since in history.
Yes, and that's right. And I think it's so when I talk about what you were saying, I'm actually making a reference to, no, this is about the state of humanity. You can't go backwards, you have to go forwards. Now, what they're trying to do is go backwards, which is not the right answer. It's a bit like Trump with his tariffs. His instinct is correct. There is a way to use tariff as a negotiating tool, right? But in the manner in which he sees it, and he also knows that America has been going broke for 40 years. China is the possibility of a new superpower. Maybe that's changing a little bit at the moment because of their population, but that's a worldwide problem where we're not having enough babies to support all these ageing populations. So all of those, you have to take all of those things in the mix. I'm not just looking, all I'm saying is America is a mirror. We need to pay attention. We need to watch because this is more than about autocracy and democracy. It's about humanity. And who do we want to be? And I think in the end, we will get to where we want to be.
Really?
I think after this time, and look, Trump's going to be gone even before his term's finished. That's my gut feeling. His health is deteriorating, the Renaissance. I 100% think he went in and had stents done when he really should have had bypasses on his heart. I know all the signs because I've seen it many times in my family. So and at close proximity to that. And he has all those signs, Malcolm. So then what does it look like? My question to you in response to what does it look like in 28? Because I believe by the time we get to 28, first of all, they'll be trying not to have the election.
Wow.
But also you probably had JD Vance in power. So how does that look? How does that play out?
Right. I fundamentally disagree. I think there will absolutely be a 28 election, no questions asked. Because to not have that is unconstitutional. And I don't see the threat of the US Constitution.
I understand that you're probably 70% right that that's what will happen.
Definitely.
Because of the resilience.
Great.
And I think in the end, the Supreme Court will, because that means their positions or the justice system would be at risk if they continue to capitulate, right?
Right.
But so I do think there will come a point, just like they did with Garcia, where they said, no, this is where it was, 9 votes.
Yeah.
You must bring him back. So I do think eventually they will. But at the moment, the truth is the Heritage Foundation is winning, right? They are breaking laws all the time, getting away with it. Trump has done that his whole life. That's why they chose him as the personality, right?
Right.
The puppet, if you like. But what my question is to you, being there on the ground level, I get where you're coming from, and it's a possibility. There's lots of, but it's also a very real possibility that even if JD Vance is the one doing the 28 elections, that's a long way away. By then, people can get anaesthetised to what's going on now. It can become normalised, just like it did in Russia. Eventually, all regimes collapse. We're watching that in Russia at the moment because he is so obsessed with this territory business,
right?
And a return to the USSR, and he is going broke, and the country is going broke. And now, and I always said, the situation will not change. You know how passionate I am about Ukraine. Will not change with Ukraine until the Russian people stand up to people. Well, that's just only happening now.
Right.
But prior to that, for 20 years, they've been anaesthetised. It's been going on. He had a plan. This was the plan he was bringing into. This is what's happening in America. And I do believe that the layer that is on top of the Heritage Foundation, and that is why Stephen Miller is in the mix. I have no question in my mind that he's a Russian agent. No question. I know that that's been debunked, and I know that there's no legal premise for it, and they can't get enough evidence. But people on the ground level in Russia and in Ukraine, who I know, who do know the whole situation.
Sure.
They all say, no, 100% he's a Russian agent. So place that layer of playbook on top of the playbook of Heritage Foundation. You don't think they've all had the conversation? And then you put NATO in the mix, right, in his playbook. There's a lot of factions within factions going on, and anything can happen with that, right? We can all say, this will happen, this will happen. And look, yes, I agree with you. American people are supersonic resilient. That's their... But history shows us, Malcolm, that every empire eventually falls. And when they do, it takes them a good 30 years to come back and normalise. We're just watching that happen in Britain at the moment.
Sure. So can I, and I'm hearing all you, and that is certainly one prediction. So let me offer you an opposite prediction. So if you look at the second half of the 20th century, so we had the horrible McCarthy years, a very right-wing government. And then America completely flipped with Vietnam, and we got JFK. Then we had Reagan and Thatcher.
But that's when the laws were changed about how much money could be donated, and that changed everything.
Say no more. And then we got the liberal Clinton and then the Obama years, etc. So there have been precedent of extreme right-wing, and we're talking, so the Nixon, and then an extreme left, messianic. JFK was a messiah. Clinton was a semi-messiah. Obama was a semi-messiah, but particularly in the second. So and I was very heartened to read an article a Democrat friend of mine sent me from DC, saying that there was a poll taken and lots of on-the-ground reviews and analysis, and Pete Buttigieg is leading by a significant margin. The other two, I forget who, so certainly Kamala, and who's the other contender? Gavin Newsom.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
I don't. Would you want him as the president?
Right. No. So this is an openly gay man. So very hopeful that they're saying, with really good credentials, he's a log cabin Republican type. So basically, watch the space. Pete Buttigieg.
What do you think? Do you think there's a bit of noise at the moment? I mean, Kamala Harris has just come out with a book. My first reaction and response was, before I watched any of her interviews, was, well, she would never have written that book if she was planning on running again. However, now watching some of her speeches, there seems to be a bit of rumbling in there. I think it'd be crazy if she tried.
Well, she's put up her hand. She's got the lowest percentage. She's not. I doubt very much she'll be the candidate.
And she's just done an interview with ABC.
Yeah.
She's in Australia.
I haven't.
Oh, is she? I don't know.
Well, I missed the interview.
I missed
I was
that.
keen to see whether she's physically here doing the interview or whether it was
Probably not.
Australia.
Yeah, probably from.
I
So
thought if she's actually here, that's it would be really
Look, I can't see how she can come back from. I think it would be detrimental to her. She needs to find a new direction. That's my gut feeling. If I was her, I'd be saying, who would want to take on the mess from 28?
Right.
First of all,
right.
Yeah,
she's
what a
already
tough
carrying a bag of chips that she inherited.
Right.
So that's number one. But also, I just think it would be career suicide for her.
Yeah. So look, you just never know how it's going to.
You don't.
You never know how it's going to play out. So Buttigieg may. So you've got to remember the MAGA and the AOC, extreme left, extreme right, are very small. There's a large bell shape of Malcolm and Kelly's. So you never know. There might be a significant number of Malcolm types, and quite a few of my friends, center right, sort of going, what? We've had a second Trump administration, and I don't think we should be going with Vance. And could well...
Oh, no, I don't think anyone likes Vance.
It could well support Pete Buttigieg, and you could get a landslide in 28.
Okay, let me give you another scenario.
So,
just talking the Vance, just before you go
yeah.
through that. Let me just push back a little bit.
Sure.
So let's say in 2 months' time, Brandon, 2 months' time, Trump falls into a coma because he didn't go and have the heart surgery that he needed. Right? This is all just hypotheticals. But I don't think hyperbolic at all. I think it's a possibility, a real possibility. And immediately, Vance becomes temporary. Let's say he goes into a coma, he doesn't die. So he's in a coma. He could be in a coma for a couple of months. He could be in a coma for 2 years. We don't know. So his whole, by law, Vance would be the person then, the covering president, right?
Of course.
You get to 28, the elections come up, Vance puts up his hand. How does that look, though, from now, knowing how heinous Vance is, from far more dangerous than Trump? How does that look if, let's say, in 2 months' time, Vance became president because Trump is either dead or in a coma somewhere, or even if he's going to take 3 months? What do you think he would do? Let's say he end up being the stand-in for the next 2 years. What do you think? How would it look then?
I think there's probably going to be more energy put into the conservative agenda, definitely, because he's Vance.
He's Peter Till's little
so there's going to be. Are they going to go lurch extreme right? Highly unlikely. So the left's predicting, oh, Malcolm, you better be careful because they're going, your marriage is going to be illegitimate. They're going to roll back same-sex marriage. That's complete nonsense. All same-sex marriages will be legal. If it ever comes in, it's not going to come in. That's my prediction. If, say, they're right, it will be grandfathered. So all marriages that have occurred till the legislation rolling it back will be grandfathered. So my marriage is not going to be ruled.
They would try. They would definitely try to reverse it all if they wanted to bring those new laws in. But what they could do, we saw how fast they overturned Roe v. Wade, right?
Right.
So they could overturn the existing new law and so therefore prevent any further gay marriages.
Correct.
But you're right.
But existing.
But legally, it would be very hard to undo the existing.
Exactly. So I think a lot of the core areas will remain unchanged. So an area that I'm very passionate about is I want wealth inequality in the world. So I want Africa and other poor nations to catch up, because it's...
Well, that's what I was talking earlier about.
You can't have rich Western nations and incredibly poor nations. So I checked with Republican friends of mine, and I said, when USAID, etc., were being dismantled, and that was dismantled in a heartbeat, what Trump has cut is the machinery of government around disbursing American aid. And And their belief was there was fat in the system. There were a lot of in their opinion, not mine, there were lots of American aid. There were American aid bureaucrats who were fat cats, basically living and loading it up in developing countries. And the point was made, given technology, why can't you? And I saw it in Fiji, I saw it in Haiti. I have some sympathy with this view. There are incredibly talented, on the ground people in Fiji, for example, who could easily manage local community development projects and report virtually to Washington. You didn't necessarily have to have a Washington or American family relocate to Fiji for 3 years, etc., for that period, where the person on the desk in Washington, on the Pacific desk for aid, could do a lot of the telework and then visit the in-country visit once every 6 months to meet with the local coordinators. Far more cost-effective, better value for money. That's
more empowering as well.
And more empowering, because there's loads of talent. There were really skilled psychologists, social workers, bankers, etc. in Fiji, for example. So I think there is that view, that fundamental aid stuff. What they have got rid of or trying to get rid of are the apparatus. It's the machinery. That's what they're attacking, because in their mind, the apparatus and the machinery were instruments of the left's agenda. That's the thinking. So once they've been wildly successful in 9 months in driving a truck through the apparatus and the machinery with virtually no blowback. So my view is they will calm down in year 2, 3, and 4. In my view,
do you think that will be the case if it's Jodie Vance driving the?
The agenda that they've set out with, I don't think they're going to be tearing down any major pillars of a Western liberal democracy.
I hope you're right, but history shows us that that's...
But history is very, very different. You go back more than...
Sorry, I'm just going to push back a little bit on this. The only thing that America has going for them that makes them different to other countries that have been running as democracy and then fallen into autocracy or dictatorship or whatever you want to call it, is that they have been a democracy and were the kings of democracy for 250 years. That's their saving grace.
Absolutely.
And the American people are resilient and they will. However, I do think that the collapse of America as we knew it, being the superpower in the world, will collapse. And there will be no coming back from that. Just like what history shows us about superpowers or empires is they do eventually collapse.
Correct.
And they don't come back in a different way and doing their own thing, like what we have. I mean, really, Britain fell financially, economically in the 80s, right?
Correct.
And they have never come back from that. And Brexit made it even worse. But now you're watching that happen in America. But it's kind of like almost history predicted this, right? That this was coming. The economists have been watching this landscape for 40 years saying this was going to happen. And it's happening.
And Kelly, it's my point earlier, at that astro-metaphysical level, Rahu, Ketu, the universe, Saturn, Mercury retrograde, realigning, renewing, refreshing, etc., hopefully leading us at a global, personal, political level to our most of ourselves.
The key is going to be for America to find what's our new normal when all this is over, because
Correct.
It will never be what it was. It'll be,
right.
But then they have to find something that is maybe akin to what UK is doing without the Brexit bit, right? The pre-Brexit of maybe we can move into this not being the superpower in a quiet, more respectful way eventually. That's their hope, right?
Sure, but let's also be very clear that okay, so empire is dead. Okay, bye bye Victoria, George, and empire. Empire is dead, but Britain is not second world country. It is still a first world country. It is no Chad. It is no Burkina Faso. It is no Dhaka.
I'm
it's
not
no
suggesting
Dhaka.
America's becoming a Russia.
It's no Pyongyang. So let's be very clear about that. I was in London. It's a modern liberal democracy enjoying a first world lifestyle.
Malcolm, you misunderstood
Let's be very
me.
clear about that.
No, but you misunderstood what I said.
Okay.
I'm not suggesting in any way, shape, form that America will become a Russia. Right? I'm not saying that. I'm saying that at the best possible scenario, they will become UK. They will go down the same road that UK is.
And what's
right?
wrong with that?
Well,
What's
I
wrong with
guess
that?
there's nothing. I mean,
There are-
I don't know what the new governing
Our
system
next
around the
guest
world looks like,
will
but
be from the UK.
What's wrong with that? If America, say 40 years,
Well,
what will
America, UK is also going broke at the moment. Like they possibly. could
oh, Kelly,
collapse if they
lots of countries are going broke.
Malcolm,
Oh.
you have to look at it. We're in a very different terrain now, right? And you now have China, who is picking up where America has left off. They may well become the new superpower. It might also be India that becomes.
It could well be,
It could be
correct.
Brazil. It could be Turkey, right?
Correct.
They're all what the economists
And
say.
it probably will be.
And it probably will be. And it probably will be. But all I'm saying is that what people have to become familiar with, because it does affect the rest of the world, and they're already decoupling from America because they know what's coming,
Sure.
is that America will not be what it was for the last 70 years. I'm not saying the new America will be bad or good. I'm saying it's changing, and therefore it changes the whole world.
And the point I'm making to you is I sense, and I think that's where the critical tension is between both of our arguments. I sense you're painting that as a deficit and as a negative. I'm just painting it as we've always lived with tension. So you're very passionate about gender equality, male-female roles. So tectonic change since the first wave of feminism. So Susan Sontag, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, all the early feminists, 60s, Germaine Greer, 60s and 70s wave, to this wave and the return, you're right, among millennial women about more traditional approaches. But we are never going to, so if I'm hearing a bit of your fear, but certainly...
No, please don't call it a fear. That's not what I'm saying, Malcolm. I think actually in a strange way, we're saying the same thing in a different way. I'm saying that the landscape has changed.
Correct.
We do not know what the new world looks, because the truth is that America was the superpower that all other democracies looked up to and were connected to. They're now decoupling from that. So that's economic crisis, that's social crisis, that's political crisis for at least the next 10, 20 years across the world, across the globe, not just in America, but across the globe. My question is, we don't know what a new governing system should look or could look in the future. We haven't even thought about that yet. But I do think it is something that we should be thinking about. And I agree with you that it is a possibility of creating a more egalitarian society.
Absolutely.
Because I'm more concerned about humanity than I am politics. I understand that politics play a huge part in social kind of constructs in the political train. It just does.
I agree. So again, we're getting Madam Producer saying wrap up. So let's wrap up on that. It's the word, the usage. Don't shoot me. Just listen to what I've got to say, Kels. So you use the word crisis. I use the word progression. Crisis
often causes progression, so they're not separate from each other.
You may not be. So crisis has inherent within it semantically a sense of deficit, negativity, chaos, etc., etc.
Do you think that's where I'm coming from?
I'm hearing some of that.
No.
And okay, that's fine. But I'm talking about a lot of the left is seeing crisis. I'm seeing progression. So just going very quickly, Geraldine, Stephanie, I'm very conscious of time, going very quickly. So you look at where the 50s, the trad wife, what you raised earlier, you look at it today, there is another kind of crisis in masculinity. So young men, millennial men today, lots of huge reports.
And Gen Z.
I mean Gen Z and late millennial Gen Z.
Yeah.
Huge crisis. About 37% of Gen Z men are single in the US at 31, 32 or late 20s.
Because they've had
it's never happened. So and the women's movement has been amazing and rightly so. So the crisis in masculinity today is how are we the divine masculine man, but also the Renaissance man? And how do we balance Renaissance man with divine masculine? And they're caught between, they don't quite know how to do that. So you have critical, and I think that movie, The Materialists, explored that really, really well, where we're dating by algorithms. The 666, got to be 6 foot, got to have a 6-figure salary, and 6 inches plus.
Well, that's where maybe the world looks a bit different moving forward, hopefully.
Correct. Whereas before it was a nice man had a job. It's far more complex today. And there is this group of men going, oh my God, and women saying he's not meeting all these criteria, so why bother? So I think it's being called a crisis. I see it as a progression, and quite right. So the trad wife phenomenon is now balancing out the crisis.
And also,
it's happened in 60 years.
I want to speak about language here.
Okay, and then let's wrap up.
Because again, you're quite right in that the general populace probably look at the word and hear the word crisis and attach negative kind of connotations with that. I don't necessarily. Okay. I think crisis.
Strong word.
Progression.
Strong word.
But crisis is because contrast always creates a new way of seeing, a new way of doing, right? It makes us look deeper into not just our individual selves, but our collective selves, right? So the only way you change culture is the last thing to change, is via contrast and crisis. I do not have an issue with crisis, right? I understand its purpose. I understand it as a tool. I do still think that if Kamala had got in, we would still be seeing this play out, but at a much slower pace.
Definitely.
And maybe a little bit more painful because it would take a long time to get there. And they've been very good at hiding what's really been going on for 30 years. So they probably would do that for the next 10 years. So it would be a slower version of what's happening. But I do still think this was coming. Ultimately, it was going to happen. So I'm not, you're reading me wrong on that just through language. And I'm saying, no, we're arguing semantics here. But really what I'm saying is that because of this contrast, it will create crisis, it will create wars, it will create lots of economic...
It will create tension.
It will create tension. And that in turn will put a lot of people around the planet in positions of extreme lack. We've seen that in Gaza. We've seen that in Ukraine.
Absolutely.
We're now seeing it in Russia as the perpetrator of what's going on in Ukraine. We're also seeing that in the Middle East as the perpetrators, right? Not everybody survives that, Malcolm. And we have to also...
But Kelly, it's been happening since time immemorial. There have been critical tensions.
And you heard me say that earlier, right?
Correct, yeah.
I'm not denying any of that, but what is going on the planet at the moment is, whilst we can look at history and all those things, it is unprecedented. At this level, at this speed, it is unprecedented.
And I concur with that.
And we mustn't lose what this is really about, and that is, who are we as a race of beings? Who do we want to be? Because what we've been doing hasn't worked. Okay, it has failed. Democracy's always been fragile. We've all known that, and yes, it needs care, and it needs, but maybe democracy is not the answer. Maybe there's a new format that is beyond democracy and autocracy or all of that sort of thing. But we can only see that if we always see it through the lens of humanity. Who do we want to be?
And let's wrap up on a final point. It's my party. I'm going to have the final word. And folks,
I've been very quiet for quite a long time.
Folks, for me to have the final word sitting with Kelly, that's a major achievement.
No, that's not true. You often have the final word.
So as a relatively new Australian in the 90s, and working as a young man in equity and diversity, I was horrified with Hanson, Howard, and the ugly lurch to the right from the mid-90s to 2006.
Yeah.
And then we sort of flirted around with Rad and Gillard. Gillard was fantastic again.
Yeah.
Julia Gillard, you were amazing.
Did you see the speech that Albanese gave in UK?
Yes, I did.
Party there, and did you see? And Gillard was there.
Yeah,
was that awesome?
big fan. And then we did the Abbott promo. It was hideous.
Yeah.
And
could have been more hideous with Dutton, though.
Correct. But we flirted. And then this present government is incredibly progressive. I would never have seen Plibersek, Wong, Anne Ali, Albanese, really progressive social messaging, equality in housing, TAFE, lots of really, really great stuff. Labour really reinvigorated. As Malcolm, the public servant, and Malcolm, the private citizen, in 1996, I would never have seen an Australia today in 30 years. And that is the beauty of democracy.
I know, but I don't think it's a model that will be moving forward. So, I think we're looking for a new...
And for me, let's raise our cups to democracy.
No, to humanity.
To democracy.
To a new egalitarian humanity. I think we're going to leave democracy behind.
Right.
Okay, now
in conclusion, I just want to congratulate Kelli, Stephanie, and Geraldine. I was reading an interesting New York Times article which said the art of the dinner party and conversation is all but dead.
Not at all.
Zip. So I think it's really wonderful that Kelli, Geraldine, and you, Stephanie, have revived the art of the afternoon tea party and conversation. These are important conversations, and it's lovely to see Kelli's progression at the Department of FALVA, the Faculty of Arts, Language, and Visual Arts at UWA, to see a progression as a visual artist to, with the times, with amazing technical skill. I'm a complete Luddite, with amazing technical skill to reinvent herself as a podcast artist.
This
So
is what we're going to call the episode. I'm sorry, it's going to be called The Art of the Afternoon Tea Party.
Okay,
Absolutely.
perfect.
Not
so
the Boston Tea Party. The Beyond Survival Tea Party.
And the tagline is going to be a pride of lion, not a couple of witches.
Lionesses.
Yeah.
So
Lionesses, yeah.
she/her. And if
Bring back the pronouns.
and I would be delighted to zoom in for part 2 sometime in the next month.
Yeah, next time what we'll do is, because when Malcolm goes back to America, we can podcast him in any time, just like we can with Lois, as we said. But I just want to say too, on Malcolm's note there, look, you have to pivot. And actually the last episode was called Pivot. So as an artist, you all know my story with disabilities now. I can't go overseas like I used to. I can still make my films, which I've been doing and sending overseas, as you know.
Mm.
And I can do this platform. So it's about staying engaged in the arts in whatever way possibly I can physically.
Mm.
And so the digital kind of tech stuff was important for me to stay abreast of, because I knew that this was the option that I had now.
Definitely.
But also we've got Geraldine, who has worked with artists with disabilities for many, many years.
Mm.
So that was serendipitous that we met when we met. And then Stephanie came to being a friend of Geraldine and Fiona's, said, well, we've got, so I couldn't go to a hairdresser and get my hair done because it was just too painful to sit in the chairs, or just hard. And so, that's all right, we'll get our friend over to come and cut your hair, because she started off as a hairdresser and then she moved into makeup artistry, and then she moved into special effects and film, and now she's producing small films and things, so with many awards and stuff. So she comes over and does my hair. She gets naked in the shower with me. First time we met, just touched my hair. And then we got talking. And so
not fully naked, everybody.
So what that showed me.
Sorry.
And so what that told me in that moment.
Audience, I want no part of soft female porn. Just to be clear, it's not what I signed up
to. All of that, Christoph's cousin Troy, who was coming to do Studio Zero business with us.
Let's wrap
I
up.
think this might be the Australian version of Bridgerton.
Okay.
Stay tuned for the next episode.
Okay, stay tuned for now. Thank you, guys. That was so much fun.
Okay, just wait a minute. We've got to do our closing off, Malcolm. We always close off with, remember, guys, you have to first laugh and then love and then breathe. And that's us.
So thank you.
Over and out.
See you later. Bye.
No, leave the plan alone. Let's go. Almost there. Just stand there. Hang on. Yep. Who invented chips? I don't know who invented chips, darling. Jeez, you're a dead weight. Drink. You're gonna have a killer hangover, little sister. You're very drunk. And you're not drunk enough.
I need coffee.
You look like shit.
I feel like shit.
I'm not sure whether or not it was the slippery nipple or the sex on the beach that tipped you over the edge last night.
Why do I do that?
You're just staying on brand, hun.
So, I had sex on the beach. What about you?
I stuck to the bubbles.
No, you brought me home.
Because you were too drunk to get yourself home.
It was a smorgasbord of hotties there last night. You can't pass up talent like that. When was the last time you had sex? Oh, I did not need to hear that.
Just ignore her. I think it's time you hopped on your bike and went home.
I love you too. See you, Ash. Ciao, Belle. How was your night? Did you meet the woman of your dreams?
The scheme put together between Team Asher and Josie? Of course not.
Not surprised.
Hey, here's your coffee.
Thanks, Jess.
And also your enrollment has just arrived.
Send them straight in.
Okay, nice.
Come on through, guys.
Hi, I'm Lex Adamson, Student Services Manager.
Kat Cleary. This is Ty.
How you doing, Ty?
Okay, I guess.
We'll take a seat. I've prepared this for you, so we just need a signature on that one and on that one. All done. Welcome to Freestone. Lewis. Ty, this is Lewis, our student liaison.
Okay, Ty, let's go.
Give me a hug, Tyler. Good luck, yeah?
Okay, buddy.
I'll walk you out.
Okay. Thanks so much, Miss Adamson.
Call me Lex, please.
Lex. It's super nerve-wracking starting your kid at a new school halfway through term, no?
Don't you worry about a thing. He'll be well looked after.
I hope so.
And I'm just on the other end of the phone. You can call me whenever you like.
I might take you up on that. Thank you so much.
See ya. See ya.
Alexia, after your inability to hook up on Saturday night, we are researching ways for you to do so.
And the award for best performance in a comedy goes to
How to find a middle-aged lesbian a girlfriend.
Come and see all the options for finding the perfect woman.
I swear I am parenting 2 children.
How many times have I heard you go, oh, I think it's time I met someone. Oh, I've had enough of being on my own. Well, do you want to meet someone or not?
Do you want to meet someone or not?
This feels like an intervention. Okay, I'm open to it. Happy?
Yes. Dating apps.
I'd swipe right.
Lesbian groups. Freestone area. Okay. Dog walking. No dog. No good.
Oh, queer-friendly yoga class.
Hard pass, can't touch my toes.
And here's something. You know that art studio in East Freestone? There's a beginner's art course for women who love women on Thursdays.
You said you wanted to get in touch with your creative side. Wet paint, hot women.
I don't know.
Too late.
What do you mean too late?
Too late to say no, I just registered you.
What have you done?
I just registered you, see? Thursday, all materials provided.
Don't argue. You can be my protege.
Okay, I'll go just once, just to try it.
Hi there. You are?
Lex.
Hey, Lex. Grab an apron.
We're just waiting on one more before we make a start, yeah?
Okay.
Everyone, grab a chair.
Hi.
Ah, you must be Kat.
Yes.
Welcome. Grab an apron. There is a seat for you next to Lex.
Lex. Hi. I did not expect to see you here. You, didn't strike me as an artist.
No, well, that's why I'm doing a beginner's class.
Yeah, right. Me too. Beginner's class. So you're a beginner then?
I'm a beginner artist. You're into art?
Oh, you know, just trying something different in a new place and all. Looking for my people.
Looks like I might be one of your people.
Does look that way.
Interesting.
Definitely interested. Interesting.
Alrighty, great to see everyone here tonight. We are going to start with brushes. So grab the biggest one in the pile. This is for our yellow base here. All right, so everyone has some yellow there? Alrighty, so very softly just dip. Okay, lovely women. Time is up for tonight. Just a quick clean up and we will see our work next week.
Yours looks really good.
Thanks.
Mine looks more like a Jackson Pollock rather than the Monet I was after.
I think it's good.
Look at the mess I've made.
There is paint everywhere.
Oh, shit.
Sorry, Kat.
No, it's okay. It was just an accident.
No, let me clean it up. I'm
No,
such
it's
a bloody
all right. I
klutz.
didn't really like it that much anyway.
I'm really sorry.
Lex, it's okay. Seriously, please, relax.
Right.
It's okay.
Sorry.
And please stop apologising.
Yeah, look, I've actually got to go. My daughter is at home alone, and I've got to get back to her. But I'm really sorry.
What a disaster.